Okay, so for today class, there will be around 2 hour sessions, okay, on the morning, okay, and we may continue 2 hour more at in the afternoon, okay. So for the afternoon class, the class will be started at 2:30, okay. So we will try to finish by 4:30, okay. Okay, so I will give a lecture on the introduction, okay, and also problem formulation, okay, for tomorrow and until next week. So the other lecturer will be provide a lecture, okay, on their own topic, okay. So my name is Ahmad Safwan E. Rashid, okay, and then I guess you have my phone number, okay. Then my email is ahmadsafwan@utm.my. So I will give a brief introduction, okay, on my background, okay. Okay. So this is me, okay, right after my oral examination, okay, or by Babose, okay. Can unmute, okay, okay, okay. So this is after my oral examination, okay, in 2010. Okay, I graduated from Sheffield University. Okay, this is my former supervisor, okay, Dr. Hurt, and this is my external examiner, okay, during the oral examination, Dr. Creed, okay, he is from University of Manchester, okay. Then this is Dr. Cripps, my internal examiner, okay, and the last one is Dr. Black. Okay, so he's also my former supervisor. Okay, the sessions taken about 4 hours. Okay, so we have a very thorough discussion. Okay, so the examiner evaluate page by page. Okay, then after 4 hours, okay, so they have conferred to me a PhD. Okay, so then in 2000, yeah, late 2000, sorry, 2011, sorry, 2011. So then I back to Malaysia. Okay, so during when I was in UK, so I brought along my first kids. Okay, his name is Omar. Okay, so in 2007, 2007, and then in 2008, okay, so I got another one, the second one named Uwais. Okay, so a month before I back to Malaysia, okay, so I got another one, my daughter, okay, named Hafsah. Okay, so during this picture has been taken, so the last, yeah, Hafsah is not born yet. Okay, so then we capture this image, okay, when I just submitted my thesis, okay, before the oral examination. Okay, so means that if you feel that you have you feel that you will graduated from UTM, and then right after you submit your thesis, so please take the opportunity to have a memory on the UTM signboard. Okay, because when you did your PhD and or your master, okay, actually there are no time frame that you can feel that you will finish. Okay, for example, you aim to finish by 3 years. Okay, it may depends on your supervisor. Okay, so the last word is come from your supervisor. Okay, so if your supervisor feel that he feel that you are ready to submit. Okay, then you can submit your thesis. Okay, and wait for the viva voce session. Okay, so in that case, okay, for my case, okay, right after you cannot hear my voice. Hello?
Hello, I can hear your voice, but the problem is that something is being repeated in the background. I feel I am hearing two voices.
Is it echo?
No, it's not echo. It's like it's another lecture going on in the background. I don't know, is
Okay,
it a video playing or?
no. So please unmute any for the other student, please unmute your mic. Sorry, please mute your mic, sorry. Okay, so please mute your mic. Okay, is it okay now, Hussein? Must stop such.
Sorry, I hear you talking about completely something else, like another lecture that I never heard before. I think there's a video playing in the background, something like that.
Let me check first. Anyone experience the same problem with Hussein? Hussein, can you okay, can you leave and join again, Hussein?
Okay, I will leave and join again. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Hussein. You still hear any lecture? Okay. Yeah, I will continue a brief explanation on my background. Okay. So this is my thesis. Okay. The title of the thesis is Behavior of Weak Soil Reinforced with Soil Columns Formed by the Deep Mixing Methods. Okay. So I submitted in July 2011. Okay, and then a month after that, I have by oral examination. Okay, and then on the November 2011, okay, I have completed my correction and submitted to the University of Sheffield. Okay. Okay. So my study is on treated soil, okay, where we use what we call as the soil semen columns, okay. So this is a part of the method used in ground improvement. Okay. So I have installed, okay, what we call as the soil semen columns, okay, inside the soft soil. Okay. So this is what we call as a small scale 1G physical modeling. Okay. So then I'm using a motor, okay, which is a complete driving units, okay, to apply for the vertical loads, okay, consistently, okay, and then during the testing, okay, I have recorded the load and also the displacement, okay, using the load cell and LVDT, okay, and then at the same time I'm using this digital camera, okay, to take the deformations, okay, on the ground model, okay, then analyze it using what we call as particle image velocimetry, okay, then this is the image take the type of the failure mechanism, okay, after the apply load, okay, or after at the failure load, okay, then we found out that the what we call as the mechanism is similar with the one that has been proposed or has been suggested by Prandtl in 1921. Okay, so it almost 100 years, okay, where uh, we have discovered the same pattern accurately with the Prandtl. Okay. Previously, some of the researchers just using what we call as a noodle, okay, you know noodle like Maggi mee, okay, noodle, okay, then they put the noodle in front of the uh, of the uh, of the view of this window, of view window, okay, then they just identify what would be the pattern of the movement, okay. So by using the particle image velocimetry, okay, so we can identify the pattern accurately, okay, where we also can know what would be the value of the uh, deformations, okay. So at the same time, we can plot for the contour, okay, and also for the stress strain behavior, okay. Actually, this method has been developed by David White from Cambridge in early 2000. Okay, so I use this method, okay, where I need to produce my own algorithm, okay, by using the MATLAB, okay, to be suit with my problems, okay. So this is the dissection image for this method or for source column methods. Okay, so I need to identify what will be the failure of the columns. Okay, so we notice that some of the columns, especially for the end bearing type, okay, has shearing failure, okay, especially at the center, okay, and the uh, the the both side of the columns, okay, also experience some shearing, okay, where the movement is towards which is upwards from the what we call the footing direction. Okay. So this is a common method that normally been used to improve for the soft soil columns. Okay. So from this thesis, I have produced more than 9 journals. Okay, and majority of the journal published in Impact Factor Journal. Okay. Okay. So this is a little bit on my PhD thesis. Okay. For the last 10 years. Okay. Okay, if you have any problem, if you have any question, you can just interrupt. Okay, so we also can have a discussion as well, okay, regarding, for example, your topic, okay, or you have any problem related to your research, okay, if I can solve during the lecture, okay, so I can give some tips, okay. If not, okay, maybe you can text me, you can text me and then I will reply to your message, okay. So for the course outcome, okay, hello, Muhammad, okay,
Yes, good morning. Hi,
okay,
with
good
you.
morning. Fine, okay,
Sorry
what
to
is
be
your
late.
question? Oh, it's okay, Muhammad, okay.
Okay, yeah,
Okay. You're from where, Muhammad?
Iraq. Iraq.
Iraq. Now you are in Iraq.
Yes, I am still in Iraq.
So what is the time now? 4:28.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, Muhammad. No problem, Muhammad. Okay.
That's okay. I
Yeah.
just, I think I messaged you and I said that I already followed this course in my master program.
Okay. So now you are doing your PhD?
Yes, yes. But the
Okay,
same
nice.
course, the same contents I already followed in my master.
Is it compulsory for you to attend this course?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But
Or you can
I
ask.
was expecting to be accepted from this course. Was the same topics, the same subject in the course I have followed.
Oh. Or you can discuss with
Yeah.
the office if you want to get for the exemption.
I think I sent an email to Nur Isham. I think he's the coordinator,
Okay.
and he said you cannot be exempted because
Okay.
you didn't follow the course via UTM. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. And then you just yeah, I guess you have experience of having this lecture. So
Mm.
you
Yeah, yeah.
then later on you need to prepare for your assignment. I guess you can use your current proposal. Okay.
Okay.
So the student should have a comprehensive understanding on all aspects of the research. Okay, a guide on how to conduct research in a systematic way, a guide to solve and analyze data and result, a guide on writing techniques and presentation skills. Okay, so we will try to expose with you during the lecture, okay, on these four course outcomes. Okay. Okay, and the course contents, okay, for this for the whole research methodology subject, okay, we may cover on the introduction part, problem formulation, okay. So which is I will cover for both topics, okay. So then I guess tomorrow there will be a class on the literature review, research design, okay, and continue with the result and analysis, writing and presentations. Okay, I guess the last topic will be discussed on the evaluation of research and thesis and research organizations. Okay, so for the assessment part, okay, you need to prepare for chapter 1 to 3, okay, which is covered on the introduction, literature review, and methodology. Okay, so I will explain a little bit on the assessment, okay, most probably right after this class, okay. So then I will upload the assessment as well in the what we call in the e-learning, okay. So you need to submit for your proposal or for your assignment, okay. I guess on the end of February. Okay. So actually, most of the students, okay, for this class or for this course, are research mode, correct?
Yes,
Some of you are master student and some of you are PhD student, correct?
that's
Hello?
correct.
Yes, okay.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, so then you already have your proposal, but and then make sure that you need to follow the standard, okay, in preparing for the proposal. Okay, so I will guide you, okay, by showing by share one or two example. Okay. Okay, then we move to the introduction part. Okay. The submission date of the assignment not on 1st February. Your semester end is on March. Is it March or February?
March.
March. Okay. So because we want to insert the marks, okay, in the system. So you may submit your assignment on the end of the February. Okay? But I will discuss with Dr. Hisham, okay, when is the suitable date, okay, for you to submit for your assignment. Okay. But most probably on the February, okay, either middle or end. Okay. Okay. On the introduction part, okay, I will discuss on the research, what is the research is all about. Okay. And then you may learn on how to produce or to prepare for your objective, okay, to create for your research problems, okay, research statement, okay, and also discuss on the hypothesis, okay, and we teach you on what we call as on the Buckingham 5 theorems, okay. It's very important for those who are study or who are research on parametric study, okay. So I will teach you on how to select what is the main how to select what is the main parameter, okay, for you to look on for your research problems, okay. So what is research? Okay, we start first with a very simple question. Okay, so I will give some scenario. Okay, which is to describe either this is research or not. Okay, so I guess you can give some feedback. Okay, on some of cases that I will share. Okay, in the slide. Okay. So for example, for this one, Encik Samad prepared a paper on computer usage in secondary school. Okay. After reviewing literature on the subject available in his university library and call it a piece of research. Okay. So is it a research or what?
No.
Yes?
It is.
No,
No, eh?
not
No.
research.
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Why you say no and why you say yes?
Well, because there is no formulation of problem.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no problem that is solving. Just in using computer usage. That's
Okay.
no research. That's no research.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Christiana. Correct.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so we move to the second case. Okay. Encik Ali says that he has researched and complete a document which gives informations about each of his students, their SPN result, their parents' income, and distance of their school from home. Okay. So can we call it as a research or what?
This one
Any
is
guess?
more like a report. I think it doesn't answer a question. It's just a report about income, distance, and doesn't make any statement in terms of as Christiana said, there's no formulation, there's no problem.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Hussein. Okay. So it is just a report. Yeah, I do agree. Okay, because he just collect all the information and put in one piece of report. Okay. Okay. And there is no what we call as a problem, research problem. Okay, on this case. Okay, Mr. Wilson participate in a workshop on curriculum development and prepare what he called a research report on the curriculum for building technician. Okay, he did his thorough analysis survey on the subject and by discussing with the participants of the workshop. Okay, does Mr. Wilson do any research?
He didn't.
It
He
is
didn't do
a
any. He didn't do. He just collected curriculum from other, and he made the reports of the curriculum. Hello, Prof.
yes. So it is a research or not?
I said it's not a research work.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
Okay. Okay, but he has some element of what we call as a systematic way, okay, where he did some survey, okay, and have get some
Information.
some feedback, but it is not very clear, okay, what is the problems that he want to solve, okay. Okay, unless Mr. Wilson identify the problems and then analyze the result, okay, and then come up with the conclusion, so we can say that it has an element of research. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So then we can conclude that none of the above cases can be classified under the name of research. Okay. So now we move for the case number 4. Okay. A general manager of a car producing computer was concerned with the complaints received from the car user that the car they produce have some problems with rattling sound at the dashboard and the rear passenger seat after a few thousand kilometers of driving. Okay. So we can say this is a problem statement. Okay. Because he received a complaint, okay, and then the next is how would he solve these problems, okay. So we look on the next slide, okay. So do you know when you see a problems, okay, so there will be two different way, okay, by just only seeing, okay, and looking, okay, but as a researcher, okay, we need to solve the problem systematically. Okay, so in the case of this general manager, okay, so what he did, okay, he obtained information from the company worker, okay, first to identify the various factors influencing the problems. Okay, so he get the information. Okay, and from the information that is obtained, okay, so he identified the factor influencing the problems. Okay, then he formulated the problem and generate a guesses, generate a guess or guesses, okay, with the hypothesis. Okay. Later on, he construct a checklist and obtain requisite information from a representative sample of car. He continued by conducting or analyzing the data that has been collected. He interpret the result in the light of his hypothesis, and later on he reached a conclusions. Okay. So this is how we should do, okay, when we identify the problems, when we have problems, okay. So we should identify first what is the problems, okay, and what is the factor that influence the problems, okay. So then from that kind of problems, we formulate the problems, okay, and generate the hypothesis, okay. However, for hello, Yusuf. So Yusuf, can you mute your mic? Thank you. Okay. However, for the UTM thesis, okay, so it's not compulsory to have a section on the hypothesis. Okay. So you can embed your hypothesis in the research problems. Okay. Okay. Then construct a checklist. Okay. Okay, so this checklist we can consider as a methodology. Okay, so what instrument that we want to use, okay, to what we call as to solve the problems. Okay, then from there we analyze the data that we have collected, means that this is more related to the result that we obtain. Okay, and from the result do some discussion, which is the interpret the result and then come up with the finding or the conclusion. Okay, so from 1 to 6, that is the what we call as the flow. Okay, for us to carry out for the any research problems. Okay. Okay, so then we may discuss all the related items, which is from 1 to 6, okay, in these sessions. Okay. So case number 4 is an example of research because the researcher went through a sequence of steps. Okay, so it's very systematic way, okay, where he organized the flow, okay, to overcome the problem that he is facing. Okay, which were in order and those systematic. Okay, the researcher did not just jump at the conclusion, okay, but use a scientific method of inquiry in reaching at conclusions. Okay, so we have three main points here. I'm working right now, so it's not okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Okay, a sequence of steps. Okay, and then we have we may use the scientific methods. Okay, then later on we will come for the conclusions. Okay, there is no right or wrong. Okay, but definitely we may choose for the positive impact. Okay, so you can do any research. Okay, at the end, okay, we only consider for the positive impact. Okay, so let's say if you carry out for your study and then you come up with a negative impact, which is the current method is better compared to what that you want to propose. Okay, so we call as a negative impact. Okay, which is doesn't provide for any advantage okay, by using your methods. Okay, so if you can defend well, okay, so means that you can defend that this method is not suitable to be used. Okay, so there are still a chances for you to get for your PhD or master. Okay, but if you go through during your study, okay, then you find out this method is not good, and then you overcome that kind of problems, okay, then you have a very positive impact. You may include the wrong or the false method in your thesis, okay, in order to educate for the reader, okay, that this method is not useful to be used, okay, then that's why you propose for another method that you feel that this method is more um, better than the previous method, and at the same time you have overcome the methods that it is false to be follow. Okay, for example, when I did my test, okay, when I did my PhD, I only include 12 perfect what we call as physical test result. Okay, so actually in the real situation I have carried out more than 12, I guess more than almost 20. Okay, 20 sample. Okay, for each sample, okay, I need to allocate more than 3 weeks. Okay, so you just imagine, okay, 20 tests times 3 weeks, so it is more than 60 weeks. Okay, so almost more than 1 year. Okay, so I only include, I guess, 12 or 13 tests in my thesis. Okay, so 13 times 3 is almost 39 weeks. Okay, so to measure that your laboratory test is adequate for your PhD or not, okay, so at least you need to have a 52 weeks of a full major or main testing result. Okay? So that is my way of thought. Okay, so might be some of the lecturer, okay, they feel that you just can complete 6 months. You may spend 6 months, okay, for your laboratory work, and then you carry out for the analysis. But for my case, 1 year for the laboratory testing, and the rest is for to analyze the result, okay, and then carry out for the supplementary test. Okay, so it means that 1 year for the main test. Okay, so yeah, definitely when you use any material, you need to find what is the properties of the material itself. For example, for the soil, okay, you need to find what is the physical properties, okay, chemical properties, case engineering properties. So that we call as a supplementary test. But the main test is your full or your physical test that you may carry out in your lab. Okay. Then I also continue, okay, to verify my physical modeling test. So and then I spend 6 months more, okay, to carry out for the numerical test. Okay, so at least I spend include the include analyzing result, include what we call as include the supplementary test. I've spent a solid more than 2 years. Okay, then 1 year I spent for writing, 1.5 years spent for writing. Okay? So the rest I'm waiting for the oral examination and for the submission and also for the correction. Okay. So I guess most of you are in first semester. Okay. So please plan well for your PhD or your master program. Okay. So at least on the first semester, okay, you may identify the problem, and at the same time, you need to carry out 1 or 2 main testing, okay, to make sure that the method is feasible or not, okay. So that's why we need to do a try and error at the first stage. Okay? So that's why I have more than 20 tests, which is if I consider the test is not show a very good result. So I only include 12 or 13 tests in my thesis. Okay. So research may be identified as a careful and systematic process of inquiry to find answer to problems of interest. Okay. To do research is to investigate the problem systematically, carefully, and thoroughly. Okay. Research is an organized, systematic, database, critical, scientific inquiry or investigation into a specific problem undertaken with the objective of finding answer or solution to it. Okay. Okay, you can carry out for a very limited test, okay, but you need to provide all the answer, okay. For example, okay, if A provide a different value with B, which is B is from the numerical, A is from the physical test, okay. So you need to explain why this different happen, okay. So for my case, okay, when I did the physical test, okay, and then I found that there are some difference between the physical and the numerical, okay. So when I carefully look on some of journal, okay, so some of one of the journal explain, okay, on due to the friction between wall and soil, okay, it may contribute to the the difference, okay, between the theoretical part with the physical or any physical testing. So we consider the numerical is related to the theoretical part, and then the physical is the physical way we want to prove, okay, it. Okay. So then I carry out or I explain by providing some calculation, okay, to uh, to reduce the gaps between both difference, okay. So we need to explain carefully. Okay, for example, if there is a what we call as chemical reaction, okay. So based on the literature, then we identify the difference is due to the chemical reaction. So you need to send your sample, okay, to carry out for the chemical testing. Okay. So from there you can explain why did this difference happen. Okay. So up to that extent, you need to explain, okay, why A or B happen, okay, in your thesis. You cannot just explain by citing for any reference, okay, without prove it, okay, okay, by your own, okay. Okay, so that is how we explain the difference, how we explain the reaction, how we explain this kind of weird phenomenon, okay, in our thesis. Okay. So research is an overall effort to discover answer to intellectual and practical problems through the application of scientific methods. Okay. Research is a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. Research is the systematic process of collecting and analyzing data in order to increase our understanding of the phenomenon about which we are concerned or interested. Okay. The first thing we need to identify what is the problems. Okay. It may different between we create the problems and then we solve the problems. Okay. So for example, okay, how to explain it? We create a problem. Okay, for example, in that particular area, okay, there is no a river, so it's not necessary to build what we call as a bridge. Okay, so then suddenly somebody has proposed to build a bridge. Okay, okay, and to build a bridge, we need to have, yeah, the bridge is to cross for a river. Then to make sure that the bridge is effectiveness, so then we make a river on at the below of the bridge. Okay, okay, so that is to create a problem. Okay, to solve the problem, okay, we have a river, then we propose for a bridge. Okay, so in your case, you try to solve the problems. Okay, so not to create a problem. Okay, okay. So for example, okay, there's a simple example, okay, about the bridge. Okay, for example, okay, okay, you want to treat for a soil, okay. However, the soil is not a very dominant uh, material, okay. For example, in your country, okay, okay. So then, yeah, you try to create a problem, okay, by solving this problematic soil, okay. However, the soil is not a very dominant soil in your area. So yeah, you solve the problem, but the problem is meaningless, okay. So there will be another issue, okay. So then, to find out what is the relevant problems, okay. So first you need to know, you need to go through to any what we call as journal, okay, which is the most recent journal, okay. So then from there you may identify what is the current study, okay, that people are trying to solve, okay. So what does it mean with the recent journal? Okay, for example, now is 2021. Okay, so at least you need to find 5 years back. Okay? So 2016, from 2016 to 2021, we can consider as a recent information or problems from the journal. Okay. So that's very important to do the review, okay, on the recent articles, okay, that you can get from the internet or from the journal service searching engine, okay, like Scopus or Web of Science. Okay. Okay, research is the process of finding solution to a problem after a thorough study and analysis of the situation factor. Okay, research provide the needed information that guide manager to make informed decision to successfully deal with problems. The information provided could be the result of a careful analysis of data gathered firsthand or of the data that are already available. Okay. Okay, in some situation, okay, you may use a secondary data, okay, okay, which is you are not dealing or gather it firsthand, okay. So for example, okay, you have a series of what we call as a full in situ test, okay, in situ test, which is the test is carried out uh, in situ, okay. So then you are not 100% okay supervising the project, okay. However, you can get the data, or the data we call as a secondary data, okay. Then you analyze the data carefully, okay, and then you come up with your own finding, okay. So for me, we also can consider that is a part or a piece of research. Okay. So how you explain how or how you analyze the secondary data, okay, and then come up with your own conclusions, okay. So for me, we can also consider that is a part of research, okay. But you need to get the permissions, okay. For example, from your company, okay, or from any authorities, okay, to make use of the data, okay. Okay, the objective of the research, the purpose of research is to discover answer through the application of scientific procedure. Okay, the objective are to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insight into it. Okay, so we call this is an exploratory or formulative research. Okay, so this is the type of research, okay, that commonly been carried out by several researchers. Okay, to portray accurately the characteristic of a particular individual, situation, or a group. Okay, so this is we call as descriptive research. Okay, we look on the behavior. Okay, for example, on individual or organizations. Okay, to determine the frequency with which something occur or with which it is associated with something else. Okay, so this is called a diagnostic research. Okay, to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variable, okay, they call as a hypothesis testing research. Okay, the goal of research is to solve problem of interest. This problem may be of a theoretical or practical in nature. Okay, the scientific community tend to be more interested in research that push the frontier of knowledge, which with the aims of research should be describe, predict, explain, interpret, or demystify or clarify phenomena. Okay, I guess most of us, okay, is more interest on the practical research. Okay, so because we are engineer, okay, we may propose or conduct a research, okay, which is more applied or practical in nature. Okay, for example, for my case, on the ground improvement, okay, where we want to provide more accurate understanding, okay, on this Swartz-Simon column methods, which is an applied research. Okay, so for example, one of my student, okay, use what we call as a bottom ash material, which is a byproduct from the coal, okay, from the power plant. Okay, so it's also what we call as a applied research, okay, where the intention is to use this byproduct, okay, from the power plant. Okay, otherwise this byproduct can consider as a waste material, and it need to be stored in the power plant area. Okay, so that is normally for an engineer, okay, where we deal with applied and a practical research. Okay. So now we look on the systematic. Okay, systematic because it follows certain steps that are logical in order. Okay, these steps are, okay, first we need to understand the nature of problem to be studied and identify the related area of knowledge. Okay. Reviewing art literature to understand how others have approached or deal with the problems. Okay, collecting data in an organized and controlled manner so as to arrive at valid decisions, analyzing data appropriate to the problems, and the last, draw conclusions and make generalizations. Okay, so this is the typical steps to carry out for the research. Okay, you need to know the problems. Okay, how to know the problems. Okay, normally when you discuss with your supervisor, okay, most probably he can provide some of topic to you. Okay, so for example, for my case, okay, when I meet first time my supervisor, okay, so he just provide to me the two, what we call it, two equipment. Okay, so okay, the first one is on the physical testing. So the other one is on the laboratory testing. Okay, laboratory means that um a laboratory equipment. Okay, for example, for geotechnical field. Okay, so odometer, triaxial. Okay, but for the physical test, it is what we call as a special dedicated chamber. Okay, for us to carry out for the physical test. Okay, so I need to choose which one, okay, that I may use for my 4-year study. Okay, so then I choose for the physical testing equipment. Okay, so then he asked me to think what you want to do on this equipment. Okay, and then I want to investigate on the ground improvement. Okay, then he said, then I come up with some of what we call as journal. Okay, then the journal discuss on the deep missing method, and I propose to him that I want to carry out for this type of study. Okay, and then he agreed. Then from there I start my research on the deep missing method. Okay, so at the same time, okay, I learned on how to use the particle image velocimetry, which is the PIV, to track the deformation of the soil by using a photogrammetry methods. Okay, so that is the problems that we want to solve. Okay, or to improve the current methods. For example, on the ground improvement, okay, I choose this topic because it is related uh, uh, what we call as to the problems in nature as well. Okay, so we have a lot of marine or soft soil area. Okay, so we may provide some solutions, okay, to overcome the problems, okay, on the soft soil area. Okay, so then we to confirm this is a very main issue on the ground improvement. Okay, so then we carry out for the literature review. Okay, then carry out for the testing, get the data, analyze, and then come up with the conclusion. So that is the typical steps, okay, on doing research. Okay. So this is the flow, okay, for the systematic way. Okay, follow a scientific method. Okay, follow a scientific method. Okay, this means that it makes an integrated use of inductive and deductive reasoning. Okay, this is very useful for explaining and predicting phenomena. Okay, the basic assumption of the scientific method is that every effect has a cause. Okay, so I will not explain in detail on this inductive and deductive reasoning. Okay, because at the end you may not use full of this approach because it is just a method of how we provide a logic reasoning. Okay. So but if I will attach some I will attach a YouTube video, okay, which is explained on the inductive and deductive reasoning, okay, in your e-learning letter. Okay. So inductive using a particular example to reach a general conclusion about something, okay, leading on, okay, and deductive using a logic or reasoning to form a conclusion or about something. Okay. For example, the death of the death, the cause of the death. Okay. Okay. So this is some example on the inductive and deductive. I guess inductive or deductive is from the Aristotle, and and deductive is from somebody else. Okay. But when you go to the video, you may understand, okay, how they use the inductive and deductive, okay, approach or reasoning. Okay. So for example, inductive, okay, this is how later on you can create your hypothesis. Okay. So for example, inductive, okay, based on the observation, okay, elephant depends on water to exist. Okay. Then you look on the pattern, okay, all observed animal depends on water to exist. Okay. So this is the very only focus on the elephant. Okay. And then this is for a general observation for all animal depends on water to exist. Okay, then later on from the inductive reasoning, okay, develop a theory, all biological life depend on water to exist. Okay, so that is the inductive. Okay, from general is a from localized problem, then you come up with a general, then you generalize the problems. Okay. So for the deductive, okay, start with an existing theory. Okay. All biological life depends on water to exist. Okay, so this is from a general. Okay. Formulate a hypothesis based on existing theory. Okay. All land mammal depends on water to exist. And then you focus on the land mammal only. Okay. So collect data to test the hypothesis. Study all land mammal species to see if they depend on water. Okay. Analyze the result. Does the data reject or support the hypothesis? Later on, all land mammal species depend on water. Okay. So if you are a zoologist, okay, so this is very important for you for the research. Okay. But you are civil engineer, okay, so it's not related to you, but you may use this kind of inductive and deductive. Okay. However, the inductive is not accurate, okay, compared to the deductive approach. Okay. Okay. So inductive reasoning, constructing of hypothesis from casual observation and background knowledge. Okay, from the examination of this, the researcher established certain expectation. Okay, while on the deductive reasoning, reasoning out consequence or implication of hypothesis followed by the testing of the implication and confirmation or rejection of the hypothesis. Okay, so later on you can reject or you can accept your hypothesis, okay, by using the deductive reasoning. Okay, the finding of investigation add new knowledge to the existing structure of knowledge. Okay, further hypotheses are generated from the existing structure, and the casual observation and testing of this may add to the new applicable knowledge. Okay, so this process continue in this manner, and therefore research become cyclic and dynamic. Okay, so it may repeated, okay, in a cycle. Okay, then to Okay, then okay, once you have gained what or you have created your hypothesis, okay, then later on you need to test it. Okay, so generation of hypothesis, casual observations, existing structure of knowledge, okay, operationally specific testing solution, and then implication of the hypothesis. Okay, so this is a very what we call a brief methods, okay, that you can use. Okay, but for me, might be we can skip, okay, this element, okay, whereby because we are more on the applied, okay, research, okay, so we can get all this information, okay, actually from the theoretical or from any reference book or from any scientific articles. Okay. Okay. So research type, there are many ways of classifying research. Okay. One way is to classify it by function. Okay. Basic of pure research is motivated by curiosity and aims to advance on the theoretical knowledge. Okay. So I guess if most of us, okay, are not carry out for the theoretical research. Okay, so we are more concerned on the applied research. Okay, which is applying scientific theory to real life problems. Okay, all those research activity are classified according to their different nature. They will overlap and merge from one into the other. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Although we are more interested on the applied research, okay? However, this applied research, okay, should rely on the theoretical knowledge. Okay, for example, in geotechnique, okay, we need to rely on the soil mechanics fundamental knowledge. Okay, for example, how what is what is what what is the mechanics behind of the bearing capacity result that that obtained from the testing. Okay? So we need to explain. Okay? Although it is a applied research, so you need to rely on the theoretical knowledge. Okay? So research can be divided into 5 categories: basic, pure, fundamental research, exploratory research, applied research, development research, design research. Okay. So this is for the basic research, advancement of scientific knowledge, okay, that do have the specific objective application to practical problems. Okay, it is research devoted to achieve being a fuller knowledge or understanding rather than practical application of the subject under study. Okay, for example, for those uh, in the science, okay, purely science. For example, chemistry, physics, biologists. Okay, so most probably they carry out for the pure or fundamental research. Okay. It is experimental or theoretical work undertaken primarily to acquire new knowledge of the underlying foundation of the phenomena and observable facts with or without any particular immediate application of use in view. Okay, it is not subject to a time restraint and it is open-ended. Okay, so it's very difficult for us to carry out for the basic of pure fundamental research. Okay, for example, my wife is from chemistry department. Okay, so she spent more than 7 years to complete her PhD. Okay, because his study is more related to organic reaction under the chemistry disciplines. Okay, so it's very difficult actually. Okay, but at the end she completed his PhD. Okay, but it's very hard compared for those who are doing the applied research. Okay. Then exploratory research aim to clarify concept and problems. Okay, so this is more related to concept. Okay, where we want to explore something, but with a limited, for example, limited of equipment that we have, so we can provide a concept. Okay, of the of uh, of of the problems. Okay. Closely allied to underlying basic research in which there is an objective. Okay, it is open-ended, looking for something which might form the basis for a successful research project development. Okay, so we want to explore a new thing, okay? And it is not very common at that time. Okay, let's say for example for the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, might be it is already the knowledge is already there. Okay, but the COVID-19 is a new disease. Okay, then the researcher need to explore, okay, on how to provide or to propose a new vaccine at that time. Okay, so in another way, research for a new drug and examine the biological effect of a new range of chemical material. Okay, so it's more related to explore. Okay, and then it's supposed to take a long time to verify the result. Okay, so in that case, exploratory is very is a apart from the theoretical, and once we have complete exploration, so then we can move for the applications. Okay, so this is a stage before the applications. Okay. Then yeah, later on we can put as a recommendation, okay, to carry out for the applications. Okay, might be on the exploratory research. Okay, we need to carry out for 1 or 2 testing. Okay, to verify the result. Okay, so in order to have a full study on the application, okay, then we can recommend to carry out for a full thorough study on the application later on. So means that it still we consider as an open-ended. Okay. Okay, for the applied research directed towards the practical application of knowledge. Okay, it involves the application of basic knowledge for the solution of a particular problems, the creation and evaluation of a new concept or components, but not development for operational use. Okay, so it's practical, but it is a practical approach. Okay, where, for example, the application of existing scientific knowledge to the problem of own institutions. Okay, so then we have another type of research, which is a development research, scientific use of a systematic use of scientific knowledge directed towards the productions of useful material, device, system, or methods, including design and development of prototypes and processes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, for example, for my case, okay, one of my student, okay, he carry out for the physical test, okay, because he want to test his prototype, okay, what we call as a sensor, okay, to detect for the soil movement. by using an accelerometer. Okay. So later on, he proposed his prototype, okay, and apply what we call as at the field. Okay. So after the prototype has been fabricated or manufactured, so he gained some result, okay, and then analyze it and put in his thesis, okay. So he complete his PhD, okay, by proposing or by developing a prototype, okay, to observe or to monitor for the slope movement, okay. So that that's a way how we come out or carry out with a development research. Okay? So you can be a entrepreneur later on, okay, if you carry out for this development research. So can be further classified into product development, process development. Okay, there will be two different there. Product, you make something. Okay, process, you improve process at a process system. Okay, so the last one is the design research. Research directed as a cost performance improvement to existing product, process or system. Okay, recombination, modification, testing of system using existing knowledge, or opening new market for existing product. Okay, for example, part and components. Okay, so you come up with some components that will be used. Okay, for example, in the construction industry. Okay, so this also a part of the product. You involve, you create a new material or components. Okay. So then research type, descriptive and analytical research. So for descriptive, we want to look on the behavior, okay, analytical, concern with testing hypothesis. Okay. Applied versus fundamental, okay. I guess most of you on the applied, okay. Fundamental is not much related to us. Okay. Okay. Quantitative versus qualitative. Okay, so quantitative is more related to you measure, quantify something, while qualitative is more on social science study, okay, which is related to finding out the quality. Okay, conceptual versus empirical. Okay, so conceptual is a new concept. Okay, you just come up with a new concept. Okay, while empirical is the based on experience. Okay, you can for example, you can propose an empirical solution. Okay, by gather all the previous data. Okay, then you can come up with a very good relationship. Okay, based on the empirical research. Okay, so that is one of the example. Okay. However, you need to have more data. Okay. Now we have what we call as artificial intelligence. Okay. So you can easily what we call as derive any equation, okay, any relation by using the artificial intelligence. Okay. Okay, so this is another type of research, one-time research. Okay, we have here longitudinal research. Okay, diagnostic research, experimental research. Okay, so I need to be fast. Exploratory research. Okay, historical research. Okay, this is based on the previous past record. Okay. Okay. Now, some of the example, okay, on how to create for research objective. Okay. So research objective are the specific component of the research problem that you will be working to answer or complete in order to answer the overall research problem. Okay. So actually the research objective, you may measure it, okay, and at the end of the last chapter, which is the chapter conclusion, okay, you may answer all the research objective that you have listed in the introduction part. Okay. So the objective refer to the question to be answered through the research. Okay. They indicate that what we are trying to get from the study or the expected result or the outcome of the study. Okay. So that's why at the end of the chapter 5 or the conclusion part, okay, so you need to answer all of your research objective. Okay. So research objective should be clear and achievable as they directly assist in answering the research problems. Okay. So the objective can be specified in the form of either statement or question. Okay. Generally, they are written as a statement. Okay. They have two way, okay, to prepare for the research objective. Okay. Either you are using a statement method or you are using the question method. But generally, okay, they are written as a statement. Okay. So the word that normally or the term that normally we use is to determine, okay, to establish, okay, to discover. Okay. So do not use a very general terms. For example, to study. Okay. So it's not very precise term to be used. Okay. To study is we cannot measure how we want to conduct the study. Okay. Okay. Unless, for example, to determine, okay, to determine is very measurable terms to be used. Okay, we want to measure, we want to determine, okay, what is the, for example, the strength or the stiffness of the material. Okay, to establish is how we want to create a relationship, okay, between A and B, for example. Okay, so we need to use a very precise term, okay, on the research objective. Okay, study, scope of study and limitation. Okay, okay. Research, research, what we call research objective, research problem, limitation, okay, should be addressed in the introduction chapter. Okay. So the scope of study and limitation, okay, this is the what you are trying to focus, okay, and what is the limitation, okay, that you will not cover in your study, okay. So you need to address all these items in your chapter 1, okay. So the study should be focused on very specific issue and could not provide an answer within a certain limitation of time, okay, because you have a time constraint. You cannot very ambitious to solve all the problems. Okay, so you need to state, okay, what is your scope. Okay, so more than that, I guess the examiner will not ask, okay, because you already stated in your scope of your study. However, the basic understanding, the basic knowledge, okay, so that item will be asked during your oral examination. Okay. For example, if you are study on slope stability, okay, although you put your some scope in your chapter introduction in the introduction chapter, however, the examiner can ask on the basic fundamental knowledge on the slope stability. For example, what is the definition of factor of safety? Okay, so you need to know how to explain. Okay. Should be addressed in the dissertation or thesis. Okay, recommendation will be suggested on the conclusion chapter. Okay, so once we have include all the limitation, okay, and on the last chapter in the conclusion part as well, you should have some recommendation. Okay, so means that you you can recommend for any researcher to carry out for this further study, okay, which is you are not covered in your thesis. Okay. So there will be another good approach. Okay, for example, if you want to find for any topic, okay, try to get for any thesis, okay, and look on the recommendation part. What what has not been covered or what has not been studied by the author of the thesis. Okay, so then you can go to get or to find for any article on that particular problems, okay, to confirm that this area has not been covered yet. Okay. Okay, research benefit and background. Okay, you also should have one section on research background and benefit, where you want to provide an overview for the research problem and benefit gained from this research. Okay, the research problem usually gained from the limitation of the previous work should be highlighted in the introduction section or chapter. Okay, so you need to address what is the benefit of your research. Okay. So then we move to hypothesis. Okay. Hypothesis is an assumption about relation between variables. Hypothesis can be defined as a logical guesses, okay, conjecture or guesses, relationship between two or more variables expressed in the form of testable statement. Okay, relationship are conjecture on the basis of the network of association established in the theoretical framework formulated for the research study. Okay, a simple example: A is increased when B is increased. Okay, so that is a hypothesis that we can address. Okay, but it's not necessary to have a hypothesis section. Okay, but you can put in the research background, okay, some of the hypotheses that you are guess. Okay. So anything that can vary can be considered as variable. Okay, so this is a variable or parameter. A variable is anything that can take or differing or varying value. For example, age, production units, absenteeism, okay, sex, motivation, income, height, weight. Okay, the value can differ at various times for the same person or for the same object or person at the same time or for different object or person. Okay, so normally for your study you may look on different type of parameter. Okay, for example, for foundation, okay, in geotechnique, okay, so we may look on different type of soil, okay, which is they have a C cohesion and T internal pressure angle, unit weight, okay, and then we also have a different type of foundation geometry, okay, and also the location of the foundation, okay, so we can vary in terms of the variable or parameter that we want to investigate. Okay. So variable attribute, variable is characteristic that take on two or more value, whereas an attribute is specific value on variable. Okay, qualitative. For example, the variable sex and gender has two attributes, male and female. Okay, this is a very this is more on the characteristic. Okay, but the variable of agreement, okay, have 5 attributes: strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. So this is commonly used in the social science study, okay, where they want to carry out for the qualitative research. Okay. So type of variable, okay, explanatory and extraneous. Okay, the variables selected for analysis are called exploratory variable, and the other variable they are not related to proposed the purpose of the study may not be affect the dependent variable and externals. Dependent versus independent variable. Okay, so we have dependent and independent. Normally for us, we use this type of variable. Okay, the variable that change in relation to the change in the another variable is called dependent. Okay, the variable whose change result in the variable in the other variable is called an independent variable, or independent variable is one that influence the dependent variable in either a positive or negative way. Okay. For example, in geotechnical engineering, okay, when we look on the settlement, normally the time is independent, while the deformation, while the settlement is dependent on time. Okay. 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 We take a rest for 10 minutes, then we may continue for this topic on the dimensional analysis. Okay. We may continue at 10:53 Malaysian time. Okay.